most apocryphal yet actually true story about Innocent and how it started is that we started by asking people, did they like the drinks? It was on a day in August 1998 that we tested out the drinks on people. This is with maxed out credit cards. This is 500 quid's worth of fruit turned into smoothies in a kitchen, in a flat in Barons Court, which is over that way. And a sign above a stall that said, do you think we should give up our day jobs? And a bin that said yes, and a bin that said no. And people were invited to come up during that weekend and taste our rubbish homemade smoothies and vote with their empties. And that is how we started the business. That's how we did our market research and figured out that the people of West London, the people of a very small, quite poncy, wealthy bit of West London, might like the drinks, which led us to believe we might be able to sell some. And that was it. Another pre-internet thing is now we live out quite a lot of our brand through social media. So a lot of the transactions and the do people like us ultimately? That's the question we're kind of asking ourselves every day. Do people like us? And we kind of validate that by seeing how many people are liking stuff that we put on the internet. I mean, writing a letter's like a rare enough event these days, let alone making stuff. And we still get a lot of stuff. There's something that we've done in the transaction with people, in the way that we've talked to people, that makes them want to send us stuff. And again, it's a good thing to ask yourself, when do you feel that you know a company well enough, or you love a company or a brand well enough that you want to send them, you want to sit down and spend half an hour of your time where you could be watching telly or, drinking wine or whatever, to actually make them a thing and send it to them. It's a good sort of yardstick, I think, the old tapestry yardstick question thing. So what I'm saying is I think where Innocent comes from and where its strength still lies is that we were social before social media existed. We didn't even know this. So one of my first jobs at Innocent, apart from delivering drinks and unloading vans and then loading them again and driving around London, was I used to man we had 4 computers. I used to man one of them, and it was the computer where the emails that were sent to hello@innocentdrinks.co.uk used to come in. So in the afternoon, after I'd done deliveries and got back to the office and made sure that all the delis in Notting Hill and Ladbroke Grove had stuff in their fridges, I then used to sit down and reply to all the hello@innocentdrinks.co.uk emails. And that's the best bit of my job ever, because there were these weirdos that had started buying our drinks. We didn't think anyone was going to buy them at the beginning, and yet there's this group of people that have started buying them, and not only do they buy them, they actually send us emails. And then I just get paid to sit in the afternoon and email them back. I used to have long back and forths with people about all sorts of stuff. Quite often about the drinks and whether they like them, but quite often about other things. And actually, when I look at what our social media team does now, that's what they do. That's what they do now, except they have many other nodes and channels and frequencies upon which they operate. But I came to this as a punter, really, as somebody who just had lived through being obsessed with reading the back of cereal boxes as a kid, and then just thought, well, Jesus, if our stuff ever earns its place at a breakfast table, I want it to be worth its place. So on the back of our packs, I guess at one point uniquely, definitely now not uniquely, we wrote stories. We still write stories. The quality of the stories, I think, still stands up. Lots of them now are in German and Finnish and French. And the scariest thing for me now is I have absolutely no idea what it says on the back of most of our packaging, because it's done in about 8 languages. But I know the people that write them, so I ride those people hard. And actually the hiring of those people is maybe the most important thing for our brand and tone of voice now. So that's what I care about the most. But I still want them to be about the Mafia or about the Velvet Underground or about Mr. Motivator. I don't really ever want them to be about fruit. We have veered into talking about fruit on our packaging a few times, and when we do that, it's a disaster. And how many times you want to? I always thought about going into. There's another orange juice company, a big one that begins with T, and if you turn around their cartons, it usually says something like oranges, beautiful, delicious oranges. And it's obviously worked for them at some point, because they're a big company and they sell a lot of orange juice. But I'm always amazed that there just isn't isn't there one other thing you want to talk about? Like in the world, like, aren't you interested? Isn't there just one dot of something else that you want to, that's on your mind today? Just one carton about something else, but they don't do it, which is good for us. They let us do all this stuff. Now something that I sent to people for the first time in the year 2000 was an email newsletter. I know how much you all love those, reading email newsletters. But we sent it to 11 people. I remember, because they were the 11 people that had emailed us asking us about stuff. So I emailed them and said, "Do you want, instead of you having to come to the website, why don't I just pretty much send you the website every week? Shall I do that?" So I sent them this newsletter, and then that grew and grew and grew. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands. There are, I think, over 250,000 people that get this. And I'm like, why on earth they still want to get it? I don't know. But they do. It's the tapestry syndrome. There's a bunch of people out there that can't get enough of hearing from us. And hopefully, again, none of it's about oranges, and very little of it should be about blackberries, and it should be about, cheese or comics or pigs or, whatever we decide it should be about. There's a theme emerging here, which is that we don't talk that much about what we do. On the back of the labels, it always said, "Pop in if you're passing by. Pop in." Because we always just thought nobody's ever going to come in. And then one day someone knocked on the door and came in, and still people do. Still people, especially in the school holidays, you get loads of teenagers who turn up and knock on the door and want to come in for a tour. And you think, well, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't a company be comfortable with having the people that buy the drinks come in and have a look around? Why wouldn't that be a part of what we do? Even when there were 4 of us sitting in there, or when there's now 400 people, people should be, they've paid our wages, and they continue to pay our wages, and so they should be able to come and inspect that we're doing our jobs properly, and that we're nice people, and that we're clean, and that we're not evil. It's kind of theirs. They made it. I didn't make that business. The people that buy the drinks make the business. So we started doing a music festival called Fruitstock, which worked really well because we thought that we should. After about 3 years, we should invite everyone who'd ever bought a drink to come to the park, say thank you. So it was a free music festival. And again, we really didn't know what we were doing at this point, because free music festivals are really difficult to maintain, because you haven't got fences or gates or bouncers or anything like that. But inviting, the first year, 20,000 people turned up to Regent's Park, and we just barely managed to sort of let them all have a good time. Did anyone ever come to Fruitstock? No. Made me feel really old. In 2006, 160,000 people came. So it's bigger than Glastonbury that year. And so again, to go back to the tapestry questions, like why in the name of anyone would you give up a weekend to go to a fruit juice manufacturer's pop music festival? Like, would you do that? I mean, 160,000 people came. We didn't spend any money marketing it. We put up a few posters, but not many. It was all done via the medium of the labels. So we told people about it via our packaging, and then they told their friends. And again, this is nowadays it's too easy to organise this shit with social media, right? But this is pre-Facebook, this is pre-Twitter, this is people turning up because they thought something was going to happen. And by God it did, because that was the last one we were ever allowed to do by Camden Council and the police, we can't get a licence to do a festival in central London ever again, I don't think. These conversations, so people are paid at Innocent to have these quite long, tenuous, vague conversations with people about whatever people would like to talk about. And so it might be about a job interview, or when we send letters to people, we still write them with pens. Now we send hundreds of letters to people now, but so you've got to employ quite a lot of people to do this stuff now, whereas it used to be me just sitting there scribbling. But now there's a team of people that sit there and they write and they draw and they make things for people. It's the kind of reverse tapestry situation. This is something that we made for a little girl who lost a kidney, and this is all hand drawn. I don't know if you can see it, but this is hand drawn she'd drunk over 500 cartons while she was in her recovery. So we drew 500 cartons and sent it to her. I mean, I don't know. We're owned by Coke, right? We're owned by Coca-Cola. Now, when we show them this sort of stuff, they just go, how long did that take? you know, why, who, what's the ROI, you know, all that stuff. And we tell them, you know, we always say that we don't know. And they don't understand why we do what we do. They completely leave us alone because they think that we're, you know, touched slightly. But the great thing about them is that they have understood what they don't understand, and what they understand is to leave us alone, and they don't try and improve or make any of it better. That's it there. Just pop round Fruit Towers. So that's, you know, that's on the back of a label. Some of this stuff I don't even get, but it gets massive. Like this guy started talking about something called Penguin Awareness Day. He made it up. By the end of the day, we'd made it trend on Twitter in the UK. It was in the top 10 trending things. So we were talking about Blue Monday and how it's a load of rubbish. This guy mentions Penguin Awareness Day. So we immediately made a little advert that we posted up on Facebook. So this all happens in about 45 minutes. So there's a team of people that make this advert. Then that goes up, and then I'm assured. In fact, I've seen a screen grab where Penguin Awareness Day is the second highest trending thing that day, and that guy made it up, but we made it bigger. Does it sell any drinks? Would be the question that I asked myself, or that you might ask, and I've absolutely no idea. I still have no idea whether any of this stuff has sold any extra drinks. But I feel like it works. It feels like it must do, surely. What I've wanted to say, and I think this stuff's important, and I'll go back to the beginning because I do think there's a connection between the success of our brand. Now, our brand was born almost 16 years ago, and we are now we're the biggest juice company in Europe. So 16 years ago, I would have thought that would have been hilarious. We're bigger than Tropicana, which is a 60-year-old American brand that's massive and it's got loads more money than us. We're much loved. We employ loads of people. We give 10% of profits to charity. We've managed to make all the things that we wanted to do happen, and I think it's because we didn't really know what we were doing. I think that's one of the most interesting things. And at the moment, and I can identify moments where we thought we knew what we were doing, and that's where we've become not great, not interesting, not funny, not human. There's a stat that's very important to people in marketing apparently, and it's engagement rates. So and they use Facebook as the sort of the mother lode for this. And when you post your stuff on Facebook, you want people to share it or like it. I can't remember which one it is. They keep changing it. Maybe you can help me again. Is it a share or a like these days? It's the one with the finger or a thumb or something like that. And a really good brand, will hope to have people share or like about 1% of what it posts. You know, so 1 in 100 people are going to send their mate the funny picture that you posted, or the brand message that you posted. I think people like Red Bull and Nike get up towards 2%, so they're getting in sort of in the 1.5 to 2%. And then there's this really big gap to Innocent, which is 8%. Now this is global. This is in the world. This isn't just West London. This isn't Europe. This is we get at least 4 times as much as any other brand, and you can't. I dare you to find one that's even close to us. And it's never been a stated aim of what we do. It's never been a holy grail. We've never had a strategy to become the most engaging brand on the internet in the whole world ever. But it's all worked, and I'm convinced it's because we don't know what we're doing. So that's your Facebook stat, and that's the end. And now you can ask us some questions. Thank you very much.